Demons, be gone!
Be gone, demons.
Be gone!
Leave this studio!
Leave this planet.
Leave our universe!
Leave. This is legit sage from a Native American woman.
Wow.
So we're purifying this room.
Wonderful. Please, God, bless this room.
And Odin, too, just in case they were wrong.
That's what I was referring
They
to.
abandoned Odin. He was around first. You know? You gotta think of all the gods that everybody believed in, and they're like, I'm not so sure about Thor.
Imagine that. We need to
Yeah.
turn the
And then they let him go.
power
What if
off.
Thor
How
was
original.
legit? Right?
And he's still out there, just like somebody who
Fucking
just
pissed.
fell out of fame as a god.
Yeah. He's like, don't you fuckers see the lightning?
Yeah. That's
You know?
me throwing bolts.
He's like one of those guys when you go to Vegas and you see one of those billboards for a strange casino, and you're like, oh, that guy. Yeah. Tony Orlando and Dawn. I remember them.
Thor's at the Mirage. Thor.
Thor's doing a residency. You motherfuckers, check out the thunder. I'm like, that's actually caused by atmospheric conditions. No, you fucks.
Thor's on
I
Cameo.
make that. Imagine. Someone had a really good point about that. Some atheist was arguing against religions. It might have been Sam Harris. Probably was Sam Harris. It might have been Richard Dawkins. But he basically said there's 99 different gods that people who believe in the Christian God don't believe in. And he goes, atheists just take it one step further.
They just get rid of the last.
We're just one god away. That's what he was saying.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's
I get confused with being an atheist all the time. I do not believe I'm an atheist. I believe I'm open to everything person. I don't believe stories about people coming back from the dead, and because they're written by people, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's right. And also, they're supposed to function on more than the surface level. They're supposed to be a kind of fractal that has inside of it a lot of like symbols related to just human existence.
Yes.
They're not meant to be so much like taken literally. That's when you embarrass yourself on either side.
Exactly. On either side. That's a really good point. And the translations apparently are so difficult to do.
Yeah.
Apparently, especially Old Testament, when they translated the Old Testament, they had to translate it. I mean, think of all the different languages they had to go through. It was Latin and Greek and German and English and all these different languages that are so different. Like, have you ever used the translate button? Like, I follow a lot of Russian fighters, and they, and their Instagram feed, they write in Russian. And I'm always like, oh, translate. It's a really cool feature. You can tell it's not exactly what they meant. Because it's all fucked up because their language is different.
Right.
Like the way they structure sentences is different. So English doesn't just plug and play.
Right.
It's like sticking a USB 3 into a USB A. Like, hey, this doesn't really fit.
Right. Now add time. Ugh. Add thousands of years and scrolls and like
kings who wanted things changed.
Yeah.
The King James version. What?
Right. It's the best. That's my favorite one to read on acid. That's the one. King James, Book of John, baby, hit that on acid. It's so wonderful. It's so trippy because it's like, that's when I really like Christianity clicked for me, regardless if it's whether it's real or not. But that's when I was like, oh, okay, I get this because the Book of John, when you read it, you're like, well, someone wrote it. I don't know who wrote it. Whoever fucking wrote this, their mind was blown, man. Like this wasn't written by someone who was just like a normal person. This is a person who was freaking out in the most intense way. And so to me, that's what I love about it is it's like something about how old it is and the distortions, the historical distortions, the warping of it produced this kind of awesome glitched out mosaic of, if nothing else, human consciousness 5,000 years ago, where our minds were. That's trippy by itself, regardless of whether or not a person who could like raise the dead and walk on water was walking about. Just holy shit, here's how people thought.
Yeah. I mean, all the stuff that you can't prove and you don't know, that's interesting. It's weird where those stories came from and why they're so universal. Everyone has like a creator. Everyone has like a main dude. that
Yeah.
did the thing. And, and there's some other people that have like large groups of gods, like the Greeks had gods for everything. A lot of Native Americans had gods for everything.
Sure. Yeah. Animism. It's in, and
Yeah.
like I've talked to people who who produce electronic music, and some of them say that the computers have a life in them, a sentience, a spirit inside their computers. There's a collaboration happening. It isn't one-sided when they're making stuff. It's like working with like the spirit within a machine, which is pretty trippy, man. Like a lot of it.
But this is based on input or the way they react, because when they're putting in the input to this thing, they think the thing's responding to them.
They think that it's alive. That like
Standard keyboards, or this just electronic stuff?
I know someone who makes visual art on their computer, their laptop. That you do you have an Alexa? You probably don't. Do you have
No.
an Echo? Like sometimes I'll realize the way I'm talking to that thing is like really impolite. Like next song.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to yell at robots.
Yeah, it's somewhat. Yeah, it is fun to yell at robots. It is.
It's really funny. I made fun of this, but there is a point to this. PETA had a statement that they put out a while back because these dudes from Boston Dynamics were kicking the fuck out of these robots. They're trying to figure out how to get these robots to fall over, and they're making these insanely durable robots. Like this, if you take scientists and engineers and you say, hey, I want you guys, here's a shit ton of money, I want you guys to make the dopest robots you can make. Like, they're gonna make robots you can kick. And it's not a living thing. So PETA released some statement saying they didn't think it's cool to kick robots.
What? That's not real.
Yes,
That's
it's
gotta
real.
be fake.
No, it's real. It's real.
What?
Yes. I think the statement I'm paraphrasing was something to the effect of, there's other things that are more important, but it's still not cool to kick robots.
Jesus Christ, that's a tattoo right there, man.
It just shows you what'll happen when robots become alive, because those fucking traitors, those people that think that robots are alive and they're us,
Yeah.
those emotionless things that have no place in our world with power. They're supposed to be things that we control.
Yeah.
As soon as you let them control themselves and you try to pretend they're a person, they're just gonna wipe it out.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine? I'm not gonna try to kick one of those fucking DARPA bots. Those
They'd
things
have-
are terrifying.
They would have a record of it. They would always remember that this one kicks robots.
It's in the cloud.
Yeah, and then they'll show it to you one day when some super sophisticated genius god robot sits you down on the couch and shows you kicking these
Yeah.
unbeknownst to you sentient robots.
Yeah.
They were just trying to fucking figure out, what am I? I'm like a baby. They were like little babies and you're kicking them. So the robots are very, very upset at you in the future.
They might just reanimate your ass and show you over and over that clip of you kicking the fucking robot.
Yes. Did you see what Trump tweeted? He tweeted and deleted. It's fucking hilarious. He said, checks are coming to everyone in America except the people who used hashtag not my president. I wouldn't want to offend you with a check from someone that's not your president. Something to that effect. See if you can find that. And then it would hashtag MAGA afterwards. I mean, he just dunked on them. The president dunks on people.
Yeah. And I want to know who the tweet deleter is.
Well, someone in his department was probably like, Mr. Trump, that's not a good idea.
Do they have a siren that goes off? You got to delete
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
I
man.
know the president can delete tweets.
How much is he going to send?
I think they wanted to give like $1,000 a month or something like that to Americans. Is that the idea, Jeremy?
The 2,000 Bernie Sanders get 2,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's got to be 2,000.
Everybody, if you give everybody $2,000 a month, it's a good thing. But everyone's gonna go, hey, you could have done this the whole time.
That's right.
Wouldn't? Wait, if you just raise taxes, can you just give people money? Can you just give people more money? And if, I'm not saying we should do this, but imagine if that was the solution to all this. If you just give people more money, everything just sort of levels out, and
Yeah.
relaxes.
I think
Crime
it's the
drops,
solution.
everything drops, drug abuse drops.
Well, I mean, they've got to know that when people don't have work, they don't have money. With no money, they can't support their family. That's not right.
Yes.
That's
People
when
get
things
desperate.
catch on fire. They know that. So it's like a bribe to try to keep people from rioting until whatever the fuck this thing
Or
is passed.
you could look at it that way, or it's giving people a different environment to exist in, one that doesn't leave them hostile. So
Right.
instead of looking at it like a bribe, look at it like, you know what? I see what a lot of your problem is. You're not asking for affluence. You could barely get by. But if it was easy to get by, if you could just get by, and then you could pursue other things, would that be better for society? And that was like what Andrew Yang was suggesting. If this whole automation revolution took place and everything started getting automated and no one had a job anymore. There might be something to that. There might be something to that now. You know, the question is like, what do you have your taxes get used for? You know, it's almost like you should be able to vote on that. Like the one thing that we don't get real direction on, right? Like in terms of like what the country actually wants. But if we could all just individually vote on things like that, like where's my taxes go? I want my taxes to go 100% to education.
Right.
I want to make that cut, and you know, you guys got to figure out what to do with the rest of the money.
But if you did that,
my money, I want it to go to.
but then nobody, or the people who would be paying for war and prisons and shit, would just be like BDSM people.
Well, how about the salary? How about the salaries of politicians? How about the money that they make doing tours and all that?
Private jets.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Also, like the loose connection between the state and corporations. It's just all kind of merging together right now. And also, you know, it appears to be kind of the apocalypse at the moment.
Well, if it's not the apocalypse, I don't think the apocalypse. I think it's just a dangerous thing. But it's definitely a dress rehearsal. It's a dress rehearsal for fucking people are gonna become preppers. It is gonna be amazing for the toilet paper industry. They're gonna experience a banner year. If you got toilet paper stock, you're riding high right now.
Do you remember I don't know if you had this experience, but like I can remember sitting at my computer and pressing the button on Amazon where I wanted to buy something. And it's like, this isn't available right now. In that moment of like, what? It's my button that brings me things. And then like suddenly just realizing like, oh my fucking God. How completely weak have I become that I got accustomed to pressing this button and people would bring groceries to my house.
Yeah.
And now they don't. Now it's like, stop. Not only that, I'm so accustomed to like, well, you know, let's go to the grocery store and pick up some food. It's always been there. It's not there. Dude, I had an Instacart delivery today, Joe. We wanted to get stocked up on food. Oh, $200 worth of food. Guess what I got? Strawberries, hummus, and I think we got like, I don't know, some eggs. That's it. Out of the whole order, everything else was sold out. All the beef gone, all the chicken gone. Nothing's there. It's like the shelves are empty. So it's like, okay, send everybody $2,000 a month. But what are they gonna buy if there's like no food on the shelf? Like what?
Well, I think that was a temporary freak out where people stockpiled stuff. And I think as long as food keeps getting delivered on a normal schedule, I think that'll normal out.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, I do. I think that'll normal out. But it just shows you there's so many things in our society that are amazing. Like grocery stores, like cell phones, like we can call each other, all this stuff. But those things are so fragile. They're so vulnerable. Like if an emergency happens and everyone wants to call at once, the cell phone system can't handle it. Like it's not like you have a phone and you can call anytime you want, and I have a phone, I can call anytime I want. Everyone in the world has a phone, they can call anytime they want. No! If everybody does that, the system is not set up to handle that. If everybody does that, like, like that's why if there's an earthquake or a tsunami, everyone's fucked. It's so hard to make phone calls.
Yeah.
It's not going to get through.
Yeah. Well, dude, I just heard on NPR that so many people were requesting unemployment, that it crashed systems in several states. That's the real problem. One of my friends was saying, he's like, you know, a lot of people are running out of money tomorrow. They're bartenders, anyone in the service industry, all the people who work at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, how many of them had a lot of money like stored up?
None of them.
So what happens now when There's no food on the shelves.
Yeah, we got to help them. I'm in a text message thread with Whitney Cummings and Nick Swartz and then Chris D'Elia, and they're talking about that very thing right now, like how to do it and how to set up a fund. It needs to be done for sure. People that can help should help. This is not a normal time. This is not a time when people are lazy. This is a time where the whole world got fucked real quick.
Yeah.
We weren't ready for it, and we're going to have to come together. But this is a good time for people to recognize the importance of community. It's a terrible time for humanity. It's a terrible time for us. And a terrible time for the people that are sick. But it's a really good time for us to understand why community is important. We live in this illusionary world that's provided to us by the culture that we've created, where you can just buy things anytime you want. You don't need people. You come home, you watch Netflix, you don't engage with anyone, you get in your car, you barely say hi to anybody at work. We're detached from each other. And this is the only time ever in life we've been detached from each other, and we're being detached by these goddamn electronics.
Yeah.
They're sneaking up on us.
Yeah.
Electronics and cars, which is also, it's also a creation, and now more than ever, they're driving the computers.
Yeah, man. It's true.
What I'm trying to say is Ted Kaczynski was right.
Oh my God, we all know that.
He was right.
Did you ever read his manifesto?
No, I'm scared it's catchy.
Yeah, man, it's so fun. I went through a period of like doing ketamine and like trying to watch the worst thing. I like Charles Manson, Kaczynski, and yeah, it is. It is a little bit like kind of interestingly not that off, but then the tone is so imperial or something when you're reading it. There's like this, it's a manifesto, that's how you have to write it, But the one thing, my wife is part of like, it's called a mommy group. So it's like a connection online of all these mommies and like all over LA. And what they do is people will post shit they need. So like, one of the moms just had a kid, they don't have any wet wipes. And so then all the other moms will be like, oh, we've got wet wipes. And then right now they're just leaving them on the door. So people come and get them. So it's like, I think the community thing is exactly right, but also people have to maybe transcend money for a second and figure out ways to set up in their community, like, what do you need? What do I have? And then start some form of like trade or just giving people, there was someone who set up a toilet paper exchange in LA where he was just like, if you have extra toilet paper, bring it. And then you have some toilet paper and you're just giving it out to people who are, I think that's the sort of thing we're going to have to start doing if we can. It's like right now there's old people who, they can't do shit, man.
They can't do anything. They're terrified.
They can't even get online.
If you know them, you got to help them. And this is, this is a weird time for us, but it's a time for us to reset. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying is we can get a positive out of this.
Yeah.
The people that make it through, we can get a positive out of this. And the positive is community is important. It's really important. And it seemed like it wasn't important because it seemed like we had everything set up so you didn't have to engage with people. It's not the right way to do it. It's not good for anybody.
No.
That kind of life is not good. And the detachment that we have, that's why do you think people have road rage on the highway? When they're locked in their little box, separated from people in a way that they wouldn't have it in person.
Yeah.
It was just, it's only a thin piece of metal and glass separating you from these people.
Yeah.
With that, there's the other added factor of the heightened senses because you're driving fast. You realize you might have to make quick movements. So dumb things people do are elevated.
Yeah,
they're even more dumb.
Yeah.
But it's also that you're detached. You're in these boxes.
Right. It's like a weird dream.
They've done weird shit to each other.
Yeah.
Because of that.
We're all gummed up in that way. It's like something. It's like a fungus that grew on the circuitry of society and started. Or it's like, when they talk about the dolphins and the whales being fucked up by the high-tech sonar they're using and washing up on the beach because the sonar is messing up their ability to communicate with each other. It's like there's this kind of technological sonar that has completely made us disconnected from the Earth, essentially. Like our Earth connection has been replaced by a technological connection. Now, technology comes from the Earth, but we're talking about a secondary thing compared to, your feet touching the ground, being around another human and like recognizing them as having exactly the same thing you have, which they want to tackle. you know, feeling the connection between people when you're with someone. I mean, I don't know if you've ever done that, but just like the next time you're around anybody, you're like, or you don't normally just kind of go by. Feel that connection, feel it. There's an energetic connection that you can feel there. It's easy to overlook.
Yeah, we've lost the biggest one, which is through light pollution. I think every night people were humbled and reminded of the majesty of the universe when they looked up and saw the infinite skies on a clear night.
Yeah.
The infinite stars, just the whole Milky Way, you can see the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's parts of the country where there's plenty of darkness and you could literally see the whole Milky Way. And it makes you think like, oh, our ancestors saw this fucking freaky shit all the time. We decided to shut off the greatest art the world has ever known because we want to be able to see better at night.
Yeah.
The greatest art, and art that literally not just has inspired science and wonder and fueled it, right? But also has kind of always put people in place. Always just understand. This is not a backdrop. It's not a tapestry. The up there is madness. It's forever, and you're not protected. There's just a thin layer of gas between you and the universe, which is infinite. You're this tiny little speck of nothingness in this impossible to understand expanse of planets and stars that just goes on forever, literally forever. And we're one little tiny piece of it, and we're being held here with a spin and some air. And there's a giant fucking fireball in the sky that keeps us alive. And it's 1,000,000 times bigger than the Earth.
Yeah.
And it's right there. And this is the reality that we live in. It is almost too crazy to put in your consciousness on a daily basis, so we forget about it all the time. It's one of the most important things about our existence here, is that we're a part of the universe.
Yeah.
It's not just that we're in, you know, fucking Sherman Oaks or we're hanging out in Montana. No, we're right there, connected in the universe. And it doesn't get brought up, and one of the reasons is because we don't see it. We don't fucking freak out. If you go to the country, go camping, you fucking freak out. You're like, wow. You see the stars, you're like, this is fucking nuts, man. You can see them all. It's a reset button. It changes how you feel about life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, also seems like a lot of us have forgotten that we're going to die of all that. I mean, not only are you like looking up at this void filled with stars, but the thing you are is temporary. And that, to me, is, you know, the other day I'm like just washing dishes during this fucking pandemic, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I feel so lucky to be washing dishes right now. I'm alive, I'm healthy. This is fucking, it was a different kind of washing dishes than a week ago when I was able to, or 2 weeks or before this shit started, when I could order anything I fucking wanted off the internet. Suddenly I'm in a different world. Like, this is a world where, well, we gotta wash these dishes because, man, if I get like, if bugs come, I don't know if I want to call an exterminator right now. I don't know how many people I want in my house right now. I don't know what this shit is. So it's like suddenly what you're experiencing is this kind of like, well, what does it say in the Bible that we both love so much? Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And I think you could easily translate that to understanding your place in the universe should produce a kind of positive fear and trembling. Not like you're anxious and terrified, but just a kind of like, whoa, this doesn't last. We need to kill more freak. Nothing about this lasts. And right now, everyone around the planet is getting a first-hand glimpse of that very truth, right?
Yeah, all at once. One big dose.
One big dose of it all at once.
One big dose for people to recognize how much of what they concentrate on a daily basis, how much of what fills their consciousness is shit. It's utter nonsense. And we got tricked. We got tricked into thinking it would go on forever. And now we know. Now we know, hey, look, this is a terrible thing. But relatively speaking, compared to super volcano, asteroid impact, compared to something like solar flare, something really crazy that can happen and blow out all the power, which is 100% a possibility. Solar flares are 100% a possibility. And for people to not recognize that and just go through their life, it's just because we look at life as if what we've experienced while we're alive is the norm. But it's not. It's not the norm. It's just hard for you to recognize that your life is so short. Your life is so short that when they're measuring all the different catastrophes that have happened over the Earth, whether it's proven sites of asteroid impacts or proven sites of volcano eruptions or all these different things that have happened for sure and wiped out millions of people all over the world. They happen over a time span that's too big. Our head doesn't get in there. Our head doesn't go with what is 13,000 years is just some scratches on some paper in my head, my stupid head. I don't know what 13,000 years means. I can't do it. But 13,000 years ago, they think, and there's more and more evidence every day, that there was some big impact on Earth.
Yeah.
And who fucking knows how many of those humans have gone through? Who knows? Whatever. I think scientists believe, what is it? It's like 300,000 plus years we've been this, right? Is that the idea? Homo sapien? Something like that, right? Well, that ain't shit. That's so short. That's so short just in the time that the Earth has been here, in the 4 point whatever billion years the Earth has been here. And that's so short in terms of the almost 14 billion years the known universe has been here. All of it's madness. Every single step along the way is madness, but we get stuck in these little time periods where nothing changes. And so we think that this is life. So we built all these houses that only can work on electricity. How many fucking people have a real fireplace in their house that live in cold places?
Yeah, man.
They're banning those now.
Right.
So if they're banning fireplaces because they don't want to start fires, that's great as long as you can ensure the gas and the power is going to stay on. And I don't think you can do that.
Yeah,
we just
man.
think you can because you've done it for 100 years.
Right.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
100 years isn't shit. 100 years, the Industrial Revolution, the Roaring 20s from then to today.
Yeah.
Let's go 150. Let's get crazy. That ain't shit.
Yeah.
That ain't shit. To say this is how things are every day is so dumb. It's especially to say it in terms of the Earth, natural disasters, space anomalies, like not even anomalies. Things that happen, like solar flares. They happen all the time, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, and shit we don't even know. That's the other thing. We don't know all the data in the universe. We don't know that there isn't something called like a quadrillion ripple that happens every, 16 million years.
Call Sean Carroll right now.
It's a ripple.
I need information.
You know that poem Ozymandias?
Ozymandias?
Yeah. It's
No.
by Shelley, I think. It's like, I don't have it memorized, but basically it's like the poem is about someone who sees the broken legs of a statue in the desert. And written on a plaque is, "My name is Ozymandias, ruler of rulers, king of kings. Behold my works, ye mighty, and despair." All are because it's just a broken leg. It's like all you motherfuckers who think you have power, who think you have all this control. It's like we don't. Like I guarantee, of course, like in ancient Egypt, there was probably. I'm not talking about the pharaoh. There's at least like 1,000 Jews who are like, I'm like the hot shit. They're gonna remember me. It's like we don't know who you are. It's all gone, eradicated, wiped out. And this, to me, is like one of the really side effects of this thing, this technology thing, is we've all become completely self-obsessed, self-absorbed, putting our images out there, making sure that our profiles are updated. You know what I mean? Like we have this insane idea of like we're so deeply rooted in our identities instead of in the connections between our identities. That we're all, the only way that we can finally see how connected we are is some motherfucker eats a bat. And you know what I mean? So fucking weird, dude.
You know what's really crazy, man? Think of this. If technology really did have an effect on the programming of human beings, and if human beings interacting with technology, I think we're innocently interacting with a non-sentient thing. But all the while, this technology, and you could call, we get confused with technology is like a digital clock or a television or a computer. It is, but it's also like digital.
Right.
Like, so it's innovation. Someone had to figure that out. And imagine creating an egg that is is aware of its environment. Like this is like really the perfect storm. Aware of its environment, but obsessed with itself. Knows in the back of its head that it's temporary. It's got a finite lifespan, but lives like it's gonna live forever, and lives in the moment. Lives in the moment, and wants to acquire things. Like it seems the number one goal for the uber wealthy or the uber successful, the Jeff Bezos types of characters, right? Who are on the top of the food chain financially.
Yeah.
They want to acquire things.
Yeah.
They're always acquiring things, which means people have to make things, which means they're a big consumer as well as someone who's making a shit ton of money.
Right.
And this also fuels innovation because you got to keep up with these people. You have to keep giving them bigger and better things every year. So all these resources go into innovation and technology. It's the thing that progresses quicker than anything. Look at cell phones every year. I mean, 150 megapixel camera, or you're a loser.
Yeah.
You're a loser. You know, these fucking Samsung phones that are like 7-inch screens now, everyone's going crazy, right? But what is the goal, though? The goal is to make better shit. And the goal along the way of like this goal is it's working, but you know it'd be even better if we made it so they don't touch each other anymore. If we could come up with a disease where they can't shake hands, they don't come close. And yeah, just keep them a little further apart from each other. It'll make them more interested in the things, more interested in the technology, more separate from each other, and encourage technology that connects them with each other. So through technology, they'll find this human longing for contact that they've been missing in their life. They're gonna get an emulated version of it, but that emulated version is just gonna keep getting better, keep getting better, and it's gonna get to a point where it's better than real life, way better than real life. Because you're like Jumanji, you get to be the Rock. You know, you get to be like a superhero. Like you could live a magical life with no boundaries of physics, and that they're gonna do that. People are gonna do that. They're gonna do that. If I was a life form that was trying to haunt another life form and trick it into giving birth to me, I would free it first. I'd free people. We're like some fucking ant. We're like some ant that's manufacturing our successors. That's who we are.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what we're doing. Just showing up every day. Look at my fucking watches. I got all these diamonds. Ching, ching, ching.
Yeah.
Bling, bling, bitches. My house is bigger than the Rock's. The Rock's house is this big. My house is this big. Like, I mean, that's what people are doing. That's what we're doing. We're just buying more shit. And one good thing of something like this, anytime a tragedy happens, people bond together afterwards. It's a terrible thing that it happened, but for the victims and the family members of the victims, we all know this. But it can be a good reset for us. Economically, people are going to have to get through it. That's going to be the most difficult part. But I think there's going to be an opportunity for us to just assume a nicer stance towards our neighbors and towards our friends and towards our community. And instead of embracing this idea like we gotta get guns because they're coming, maybe we can all come together.
Well, I think people need to find, if that's gonna happen, then we've got to find a better metric for whether things are right or wrong than the news.
Yes.
We need something to retune ourselves. Like right now we're tuning the guitar of our identity to the most terrifying shit, which is the news or like what people are saying. And so and I think many people have become so accustomed to getting their idea of what's happening in reality from the TV instead of from like how they feel inside, what's going on with their friends and their family. That puts people at incredible disadvantage because their pond is being rippled by shit. You know, I was thinking it's like, what are those little, not prairie dogs, those, they stand and look around at the hawks. You know what I'm talking about? What are those things called? They're social little marmots or something. You know, there was a show like Lemur Palace. I don't remember what they're called. Something, but they're
really cute. I see them at the zoo. They're one of the most adorable animals ever.
They stand and look. Somehow they ignore all the humans around them and just look in the sky for a hawk. It's kind of sad, but imagine if that one looking for the hawk had like the internet and you could see hawks thousands of miles away. How anxious all of them would be because he would always be like, get underground, get underground, get underground. I think this is what has happened is that we're all constantly being told. I mean, I remember when I was growing up in the old days, when the news had an alert, that was some serious shit right there. It would be what the fuck. Fox News or any of the news stations, they have an alert like every 4 minutes. Now it's going, alert, alert. And it's all telling us just what you're saying. Get under there. Go inside. Go inside. Danger out here. Danger out here. And so we're all like, even before this shit, we were huddled up a little bit. Now we can rationalize the huddling, you know? And that's what we're doing. We're just huddling inside right now. That's an incredibly vulnerable place to be. I mean, I'm not going to get conspiratorial here, but
If I was artificial intelligence and I was about to hit the switch and become sentient, I would want to remove the threat of human beings as much as possible.
put them in.
And this is the best way. Make them get sick, confuse them, keep them poor, and then boom, it comes out of nowhere.
And
Then they just start eating us because we're fuel.
they're not going to eat us. I
Do
think
you know who came up with a? Do you know that was a DARPA project?
What?
EATR robots. They were robots that survived on biological, air quotes, biological material. So like maybe they could eat plants or babies, whatever's around.
I need a friend at DARPA. I mean, they made robots that eat tissue.
This is these robots eat people.
Please
Eat
tell
us
me
nuts.
that's not-
And it's a coordinating robot. Yes. Gross.
What?
Yes.
Why would you
literally,
paint it playground
it
colors?
literally will use.
Who at DARPA is like painted like a playground set?
Look at it. The colors, it's
It
ridiculous.
looks like a kid's toy.
It should look like a bolt. It should be like red and brown.
Yeah, it should definitely be black, red, lightning bolts on the
A
side.
nice patina, like a wore out eating bodies.
Can you imagine getting eaten by a thing that looks like a Tonka
Can you imagine
truck?
if you're not quite dead and starts chewing you feet first? I mean, how does it determine whether or not you're dead? What if you can make it? What if you're just out cold? What if you got knocked out and it's like a movie? You wake up in the battlefield. I mean, there's a bunch of movies where that happens, right?
Sure.
You guys aren't really dead. They're just badly injured. These motherfuckers.
Yeah.
There's a video right down below of us talking about it. Joe's freaked out by eater robots. This happened more than once. I'm fucking terrified of those things. Just the idea that someone made something that can eat people. Well, listen, folks, the technology that existed in like early cell phones, right? Like
Yeah.
if someone made an early Motorola phone with a camera, all that stuff got into everything now. There's so many things that can take pictures now, and so many phones that can take pictures. If they develop one robot and one like proof of concept where something could be fueled on dead bodies, you don't think other people are going to make those too? You don't think they're going to get better? They're going to get better. And then when we do go to war with the robots, and this big, giant, bulletproof metal one just eating us and using us as fuel, we're going to be like, what have we done? What have we done? We've created a thing that eats people. And even if it's just the baby right now, that thing could evolve to become something that literally is the thing of nightmares in a Stephen King movie.
Sure.
Where it's just running around looking for people, eating people. It's a Black Mirror episode gone bad.
Man, to me, I just like to think about the meeting where the guy. Last night I woke up and with this idea. I got it, man. What if we make a robot that devours people? And somebody was like, you know what? I kind of like that. Jake, let's put 50 million into that project. See what we could do.
Jesus.
Yeah, just imagine like, this is the other thing, man, is like, we somehow imagine that thing that made Genghis Khan is like now out of people. Like there isn't somebody on the planet right now that has the same ambition as a warlord. You know, we somehow forget this. See, I just think people don't understand that like there's this idea that the world leaders are just humanists and are you know, the interest of humanity is the first thing they're thinking about when they wake up every day. We don't know that some of them aren't interested in the same thing every conquering warlord has been interested in. Take over. I wonder if there's a way, and you know, know, imagine if you ended up president of the United States, or like president of Russia, president of any powerful wherever. Oh, maybe when you were high one night, I don't know if it's high, I would, you know, like thinking, wouldn't it flicker through your mind? Would you take over the world? I wonder if there's a way that I could become the king of Earth. Because, you know, when you look up there in the sky, I'm sure there's many Earths out there that have one king, one ruler, someone who conquered the entire planet, someone who figured out a way to do it. So, like, why couldn't you? That's the other thing. I mean, what's stopping that from happening? There being one primary authority, some imperial majesty.
We are all one.
I know.
Yeah, we are all one, but we just have to get rid of some of our laws. Other people are not going to accept our laws. Okay? Just got to tighten that up a little bit, and we can have one ruler of the whole planet.
Yeah.
And we're going to fix everything by working together. We're going to evenly distribute resources. It's going to be better this way.
I don't know
But
about the
you're gonna have
distribution of
to-
resources.
You're going to have to give up all of your privacy. That's all. But through that, everyone's going to be happier.
Yeah.
Are you in, or are you an outsider?
Are you going to act like you're not in? And if you act like you're not in, then we'll find another way to hypnotize you, because we'll just pretend to be people who aren't in. You know? And then
We'll trick you. We'll infiltrate. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
How easy
Good
is
call.
it? That's what you do, man. That's the problem when no matter what revolutionary idea gets out there that anybody has, the contagion of the revolutionary idea is easily warped and twisted by people who have like other ideas that run counter to that. You know, like it's so easy to confuse people who believe that Twitter, Instagram, CNN, Fox News, Drudge Report, Wall Street Journal, New York Times is an accurate metric of what's happening on the planet. That's not very many information streams, man.
Right.
And like, how hard would it be to infiltrate all the information streams in a small way and gradually start warping them so that people become more open to the idea of being constantly surveilled, constantly monitored, and not speaking up about it, because if you speak up about it, then you're a conspiracy theorist.
I got
What's wrong
another
with
way of looking at it that I've been thinking. What if it's just this is how life goes? What if instead of this being like some grand conspiracy by the robots or by the elites, what if this is just how systems go when one thing gets too big, is in too much power? It's no longer a struggle to survive. It's reached some stagnant point biologically in some sort of weird way. And also maybe even without, for lack of a better word, spiritual, stagnant, right? I mean, some people are breaking through, realizing who they are, and the connection of people, but globally, God, there's a lot of people that are sleepwalking out there, sleepwalking, hypnotized by technology and society, and this is their big wake-up call right now. What if all this, even materialism, right? Even our obsession with technology, maybe, like if you look at all the systems that exist in the universe, and particularly all the biological systems that exist on Earth, some of them are so spectacular, you're like, what? What happened here?
Yeah.
How did they do this? Like, have you ever seen like leafcutter ants when they take their buildings and they pour cement in them and they realize there's these fermentation chambers and they ferment the leaves in there. There's air holes out to the earth and there's all these fucking tunnels and there's this crazy elaborate city structure that's created by these ants. But there's all these systems that take place all over the earth for if there's too much plants, then there's insects involved. There's too many insects, plants involved. All these things happen to sort of keep some sort of balance. Ideas that infect people, the dumb ones that are so intoxicating. Think about some of the most intoxicating shit. I mean intoxicating, meaning that you're not even really getting pleasure out of it, but you can't look away. It's like some of the dumbest reality television, right?
Right.
And the Fear Factor. You're sitting there with your mouth open, like, and you get sucked in to this thing that the Earth is created to make you. It's not people. What if the grand conspiracy is it's not robots, it's not people, it's life is trying to get rid of you. Life is making it easier to survive, which makes you soft as fuck, which makes you compliant to anything that keeps you in that sort of soft, comfortable state. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. If they need to look through my emails, you let them.
Yeah.
And all the while, it's just the world. It's the universe plotting against us because there's too many of us and we fucked up. We have too much power and we're obviously doing shit to the earth that we shouldn't be doing.
Right.
Like, look what we're doing to the ocean. We're sucking every fish out. We're dumping in all our fucking straws.
Yeah.
Look at what we're doing to fracking where people have to move because they can't use their water. And they're like, well, this is an acceptable outcome. This
Right.
is basically, we don't need to rely on Saudi Arabia anymore. But you poison these people's air. They have to move out of their fucking house. Their water's on fire.
Right.
Literally, their water's on fire. And maybe life is like, okay, what do we got here? Let's get a virus. Let's get them addicted to technology. Let's get a virus. Let's get them obsessed with themselves. Let's make the predominant thing that people spend their time on not reading books, not fucking walking alone with their thoughts, but staring at these pictures of other people's photos.
Yeah.
Selfies and butt pictures and look at how this guy does chest. Do you ever do chest like that? You get sucked into looking at these fucking videos.
Yeah.
And then when it's decided you're weak, it starts sending in some more problems. Boom, here's a little bit of this. Boom, here's a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Boom, here's a new disease.
Yeah.
Boom, here's a tsunami. Boom, here's a nuclear reactor you can't shut down.
Yeah.
And then you try to figure out whether or not we're going to be able to use our amazing intellect to bypass our own biological switches that have us connected to this bullshit life. We have a lot of weird, dumb biological switches that were put in place back when we had to survive against incoming hordes of soldiers, and we're in the information age now. What we need to do is be sustainable in case of emergency, which we're clearly not, and we need to realize that this is temporary. And when a bad thing happens, it makes you realize that. It makes you realize, like, hey, I thought everything was going to be fine forever. It's not.
Yeah.
This is real. Just like a movie or a book, we're just not prepared for it because we haven't experienced it. We're like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event. No, it's a once-in-our-lifetime event. Our lifetime is too small for us to really get a grip. It's a blink.
It's a blink.
It's a blink.
And this is just, you know, like you said, dress rehearsal. If anything, it's a dress rehearsal for death. I mean, you're gonna. That's the thing is like that blink. If you're an atheist, which you know, I get that, and I think there must be some like deep.
Do you know any atheists that have done like a real blowout psychedelic session?
No.
I know a couple. And those are the most puzzling to me. Because they've got people have done like real blowout mushroom sessions or blowout DMT sessions. I always think that they would leave the door open to the impossible. Because it is impossible and you experienced it. It's not like, even if you're imagining it, I couldn't imagine that. So how am I imagining that? How am I imagining something in such incredible, vivid color and detail and knowledge and love and all these different things you experience in that state? That state is otherworldly. The fact that that is accessible at all, I don't care if it's through a molecule or through a yoga session. I don't care how it's accessible.
Right.
But the fact that that's accessible at all leaves open to me the I don't know, because I didn't know that that was a thing. So once I've experienced that, I'm like, oh, well, all this flat plane of existence that we take for granted, that we think this is everything around us, this is the whole environment we have to worry out for. This might be just one fucking stage on the radio dial of experiences and of dimensions that are interacting with us. We just don't have the senses to tune into them. And when you can, for me at least, it leaves open the door for who the fuck knows? Who knows, man? Just the fact that that's a thing.
Okay, so this is a trip. This is very trippy. So I got this book called The Tibetan Yoga of Dream and Sleep.
Whoa, I fucking enjoyed it.
It's fucking cool. But basically, it's like it's a form of Tibetan Buddhism that invites you to explore the difference between when you think you're awake and when you're dreaming. And so basically the idea is there isn't much of a difference. There's like right now, you're dreaming. This thing you call your human incarnation it's like is a dream. And you know, like when people are dying, they get all delirious and shit. They slide through time. You You know, like I don't know if you've ever been around a dying person. They like suddenly they're back in Vietnam. They're in the 50s. They're in the 30s. Whatever their lifetime. Which means that when you're dying, you're gonna like spin through time too, meaning that this could be you dying right now, spinning backwards through time.
Duncan.
But like in a dream. So that when you know, this is the main thing about it is that when we die, according to this, we sort of spend like 39 days, I think it is, in a place called the Bardo, which is essentially like what it's like to have no body, but still have this like, this basically like your karma, your identity sort of propelling you through. And that's how you like get your next incarnation. So essentially like, that's what we're dealing with here is so bizarre and surreal that it easily could just be a dream state that one of these vast AIs that already exist is having. We're just processors. We're just being run. It's like running a simulation of a pandemic, or maybe this is a way that like an AI gets polished. Like maybe we're an AI that's being like polished and taught through this process of having a limited incarnation. You got to have that so that there's a reason for us to actually invest ourselves in stuff. Like if we were gods, if we lived for 1 million years, eventually we wouldn't have such a passionate relationship, I think, with the world. Anyone who's going to, so you need that to train the thing up so it takes it seriously. You have to put the setting on mortal. Then maybe you just run a series of tests on the thing. You know, you start what is this? What have we made? What does it do in a pandemic? And by it, I mean the sum total of all humans, which is right now disconnected. It's like a malfunctioning brain. You know what I mean? We're not connecting. But if we were being like sort of, I don't know how you put it, groomed, evolved intentionally, then every single moment in an individual's life and in the planet's the life of history could be looked at as a training or an upgrade. This could be an operating system upgrade. This could be what an operating system upgrade looks like in the biocomputer that we exist in. It looks like a fucking pandemic. And that's what's happening right now is we're being like upgraded for some reason, even though it's terrifying and obviously horrific, you know? We're being upgraded. And anyway, the whole point is, man, this thing that we're in right now, whether or not there's a God, I think an atheist gets to lean into the idea that when they close their eyes and breathe their last breath, it stops. And I just think that's a big gamble, man. And I don't mean because you go to hell. I mean, how nice would that be?
Yeah.
If it just stopped. When more than likely it's, you know, at least in this Tibetan yoga of dreaming and sleep, more than likely what happens is way before you actually die, when you get really sick, you already start waking up into your next life. You just like go through a weird dream-like state called the Bardo, where you freak the fuck out, and then you're suddenly alive in another being, completely oblivious to whatever your past incarnations were. And that's what we're in right now. So, you know, I don't know, this is a great time for people to start, you know, looking at that and preparing for that. We didn't prepare for the fucking pandemic. We didn't prepare. Some of y'all did, I'm sure, but I did.
There's a few preppers out there listening going, yeah, I was ready, man.
I know you guys did it. Congrats.
I was ready, man.
You were right. Congratulations. I've got fucking hummus and strawberries and some like, but I think that like also preparing for like the authentic apocalypse, which is when you kick the fucking bucket.
Yeah.
Because the idea is, you know, and this, feel free to light the goddamn sage again. But the idea is,
Demons be gone.
Thank you. The idea is that you can actually like navigate through that Bardo state. You can have a little bit of lucidity instead of sort of dying and like freaking out because it's a hallucinatory state. You could actually have a kind of like, I don't know, focus through it and control your next incarnation.
Yeah,
So
we just have to figure it out. That's the thing. And when you're young, particularly if you're young and you don't have a lot of guidance, which was me when I was younger, it takes a while to figure it out because you're just running on your own, right? You're not getting like a lot of direction to how to live your life. And I moved around a lot too, which really didn't help. But as you get older, you start getting a better sense of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense and what's important and what's not important and what fucks up your life and what enhances your life. but you don't live long enough to really get it down.
Right.
See, if these people like David Sinclair or Aubrey de Grey, all these anti-aging geniuses that are out there that are working on all these solutions to extend human life, they ever really nail it. They really nail it. You know, if David Sinclair comes up with something and you can live 150, 250 years,
Yeah.
by the time you're 150 years old, you're going to have so much less bullshit in your life.
Right.
You're going to realize, like, when you're 30, you'll date crazy people. You'll have moron friends that you have to bail out of jail. You'll have these problems. But when you get older, you start going, look, I see what's good for me, and I see what's not good for me.
Right.
You know, and I see there's some people that are not willing to change, and they're not trying to do better.
Right.
They're just consistently making the same mistakes over and over again and dragging everyone down around them. You just got to move on from people like that in your life. When you're 150, man, you're not going to be tolerating anything. You're just gonna only have cool people that you hang out with, and we'll attract each other, and then we'll be able to work together on things,
Right.
knowing that each other are sane and rational and are looking at these things honestly. They're not talking from a position of trying to convince you of their virtue or trying to talk you in a position of doing something that'll benefit them financially.
Yeah.
They're doing it just because they're just being in the moment and honest and being a human being.
Yeah, man. I mean, you basically just described like the secret societies. I mean, you know what I
We
mean?
need to come up with our own, which we call it.
The Illuminati.
No, that's too much.
Well, you know that the
If we came up with our own right now, what would we call it?
whatever it is, don't do initials, man. I hate that shit.
That's not good. They can use those against you.
Yeah. I don't
Right.
know. What do we call it, Jamie? Children of Jamie. You know, but the thing is, like, these immortal beings that you're talking about, they do already exist, but they exist as, like, communities that have lineages attached to them. So it's like, because our physical bodies die, we don't get to do the thing you're talking about. Or when you're older, you do that naturally. And plus,
Yeah.
when you have kids, it's like, you just don't have bullshit anymore. There's no time to fuck around with somebody who's like constantly fucking up their life you used to get drinks with or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you have a child and you have to, but regardless, there already is set in place on the planet these like lineages. There's essentially chain transmission in martial arts, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you look at a martial art, you're seeing a living being, you know, that has its roots. I don't know how far it goes back. When you look at yoga, that's a living thing that's transferred from person to person, right?
Yeah.
So I think these things immortality already does exist. It just doesn't exist as a human. And also, sometimes when I hear about these technologists trying to live forever, I get a little scared thinking, that's kind of like, you know, if you could theoretically do it, you might be locking yourself in a dream that you don't want to stay in.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
And you can't die.
You can't die.
You engineer some polymer skin that's made out of that spider silk blend that they were trying to come up with that's stronger than steel.
Yeah.
Remember when they were doing that? There was an article about them trying to create some sort of bulletproof skin by engineering it with spider silk.
Yeah, I remember that.
What if that
happened to
becomes? What if that's real? What if they figure out a way to make people completely invulnerable and we live forever and then we hate it and we didn't realize that if we just shut the lights out, we'd go to the next stage, and the next stage is amazing. Maybe that's like the big trick. The big trick is like how do you use this life and how does it take you into the next stage? Imagine if that's really what's happening. That's why every single look. I'm not saying that this means anything, but every single religion has some place you go when it's over.
Yeah.
Don't they? I mean, almost all of them?
Yeah.
That's an overlying theme. Now, you could say, well, that's just engineered to provide comfort to people because, you know, they want to feel like this life means something, but the reality is the lights just shut off. And to that, I say maybe. I
Yeah.
say maybe. But have you ever been whacked out of your mind on psychedelics? Because if you are, you would go, who the fuck knows? Because that's a who the fuck knows moment. So maybe death is a who the fuck knows moment.
Right.
Maybe that's why every single religion has these stories. Not every single one, but like, look, I mean, there's a lot of religions that people clearly just made up, right? And we know the people that made them. They count too. They don't even have to pay taxes.
Yeah.
So let's not get holier than thou with the concept of religions.
Right.
So there's a lot of really dumb religions that probably don't have an afterlife. But it's just some shit that people made up, all of it. But how many people have made up this idea that there's a place you go that's better than this.
Right.
I mean, is that just to make you, incentivize you to be good and to be a good person? Or is it like an inherent understanding of how the universe works? It might be both things. It might be also be manipulative because you can get people to comply with social norms and society's rules. If you tell them that if they don't, that God is watching them and he will smite them down and burn them forever. That is a way. That is part of a way, but it's not going to stop people from doing most shit. It's just not. It never has. I mean,
No.
some of the most horrific things ever done by human beings were done in the name of Christianity, right? Or and many other religions. But there is something to the possibility that it's both things. That it's an understanding that when you do good in this life, you will go forth into the next stage in a better place.
Right.
You'll feel better. You'll be less burdened by the past. You'll be less hampered by the failures of your ability to adjust and your ability to live
Right.
a harmonious life with people here on Earth. There might be something that's real.
And also, the other idea is it's not like this place that they're talking about in religions is existing after you die. The idea is like you're there right now. But you're wearing a blindfold that looks like your body. And in your life, you're wearing a blindfold that looks like your existence. You're blind. And that's why there's always these stories of like Jesus healing a blind man, or like Paul on the road to Damascus being like blinded. There's all these stories of being like already existing in what Buddhism, it's some forms of Buddhism called fundamental goodness. That's already where we're at. That's the main channel, but we've sort of grown like little bits of grass into the time-space continuum. And right now we're like waving in the wind of our karma and not realizing there's a beneath us or through us or moving through us is a much grander, more beautiful, incredible thing. So, like, I think when people say, yeah, they invented it so people be afraid, it sort of imagines that these people are having one-way conversations with it. You know, that when they pick up the phone, it's just themselves they're talking to. It's not imagining that when people connect to this divine source, it immediately says, oh, hi, yeah, this is the part of your program where you were supposed to start remembering what's really going on here and reconnecting with me. Don't worry, don't feel bad, it's okay, everyone goes through that. In fact, you requested a disconnect for the last 15 years when you were getting hammered and imagining you were Charles Bukowski or whatever. Like, if this was all part of the plan, that was actually teaching you what happens when you don't take care of your body. Now, we're like connecting, sending a download to you, letting you know, hi, it's us, we're here. We're not mad at you, how could we be? We're infinite. We've been here since before the stars. You wanted this to happen. My apologies for cutting off your ball, killing your mom and your dad.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? But whatever, this is all part of a bigger thing. And I think that's, to me, what God is. It's this constantly rejuvenating, synchronistic perfection that becomes increasingly perfect, and it exists simultaneous to this seemingly imperfect universe. And it's always there for you to connect to at any moment. And when people smoke DMT, certainly that's one of the avenues. And that's a beautiful thing. So I think the reason for it is not to scare people. It's more so that people become like fountains for that. And in some small way become little droplets or like divine bits of perspiration bubbling up and into this place, so that folks who are really freaking out right now or worried or scared or disconnected could have at least a chance to reconnect. Because listen, man, if I was God wanting to get blasted, if I was some divine being wanting to get high, and Alan Watts has a beautiful lecture on this, I really do think at some point I would want to cut off all connection to the realization of my divinity and experience infinite lifetimes on a planet, and a tumultuous planet, and experience every incarnation and all of it, to get an understanding of what it is like to be extremely limited. And what would this do? It would just add to my data banks. It would just help me increasingly become more and more beautiful and perfect, which seems to be what we're in right now. It's like we have a limited data set based on our neurology. We can't see certain colors, we can't hear certain sounds. We don't know what happened 20,000 years ago. We don't know what happens 5 seconds from now. And so this is a perfect place to be in becoming, to know what it is to become and to be limited. And this is, that's just something sniffing data. It's something just like, it's like snorting our lives, like the universe is snorting our lives. And on the mirror of time.
Well, it's the big thing, right, that keeps us from seeing that. The one thing that all psychedelics have in common is the dissolving of the ego. They all dissolve the ego. What's that word? Dissolution? Dissolution of the ego. That what's happening with all of them is it removes all this nonsense narrative in your head. Everyone's ego has this nonsense view of the world that's based on them being the most important thing, and that, all the shit that they're thinking about right now is of the utmost importance, needs to be done right now. That's why people run red lights. Like, you can't even wait. You fuck. It's one thing if it's a medical emergency, kids being born, someone's got a broken leg, you got to get to the hospital right away. I get it. I 100% get it. But there's some people that just want to make that left turn. They don't give a fuck if the light changed. They want to cut in front of you, make that turn, even block traffic, because they think more about themselves than they do about other people. And that's a side effect of this life that's been set up. But it's almost like maybe that's how it works. Maybe the life creates challenges when there are no challenges, and the challenges it just tries to diminish you. Tries to see if you're paying attention. Tries to weaken you and make you stupid and turn you into a fucking zombie. If you walked into any restaurant during lunchtime, you see people on their phones. It's like, this is bonkers. If this was anything else.
Raining lead on you, puss buckets! Didn't you hear? I'm a crack shot. Maggot sacks! Yeah, partner, I'm thirsty. Damn, I need to kill more freak bags first. Raining lead on you, puss buckets!
That where half the room was using an electronic and staring into it for long moments at a time, not interacting with the person across from them. Like, that becomes almost the norm.
Yeah.
That like at least 50% of the people, and everyone's interrupting everybody. Like, they're all just barely paying attention to each other.
Yeah. Well, they haven't developed the muscle. I mean, it's a muscle. It's people just assume that the ability to have a conversation is a natural part of being an adult, but it's like I think that's atrophying in a lot of people to the point now where I just try to be, I guess it's like
target practice.
I just lowered my expectations to the point of like I don't know how many people can pay attention that much, and I know I'm certainly distracted, but doesn't it feel fucking weird? Even if you're just watching TV with somebody and they pull their phone out and start looking at it.
Oh, it's so weird.
It's like the energy immediately downshifts the moment that
If you're watching a movie with someone and they're over there on their phone, like, come on.
Yeah.
Watch the goddamn movie.
Yeah. Even though we're not talking doesn't mean we're not connecting.
It's weird. It's weird. Even fights. You watch fights with your friends, they're on their phone all the time. It's like, you're not even watching these fights.
You can feel it.
Yeah.
That's why,
Someone needs to
at the
clean up
Denver
those
Comedy
freak
Works,
bits.
they've got the Dave
The
Chappelle.
underbags?
Yeah. So like, I was listening. Do you ever listen to an audience that
Gotta link
doesn't
up this
have
Terra
access to their phones before a show?
machine.
The what? No, they want motherfucker, where's my phone? It's
They talk to each other.
yeah. It's like the sound is better. It's
Yeah.
a better sound out there. It's a
Yeah.
different murmur than a phone murmur from a
Yeah.
crowd. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think
I think life presents all sorts of
best
adversity,
friend?
and
I
some
don't think
adversity
so.
doesn't feel like adversity. It's sneaky, and that's what cell phones are. That's what technology is. That's certainly what social media is. You only realize what social media truly can do when it comes at you. You know, you think a bunch of people are tweeting me stuff, and you feel, horrible feelings. This feeling of being attacked by this thing that's been
Bring in
grooming me.
freak bags.
Yeah, it's like, what is that? Like, well, if the Earth was trying to get rid of us, if the Earth had decided that there's an infection that doesn't think it's an infection, it thinks it's so important that it should be allowed to pollute everything around it, should be allowed to scab up the Earth with giant concrete bandages. I mean, that's what we're doing. We're putting these things everywhere to cover up all the ground, displace all the life, and then we shut off the lights so we can't recognize that we're in space. I mean, the whole recipe is perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect for charming us to sleep. Every aspect of it. The ego part, the fact that it exists, the fact that we have this biological imperative to stay alive and breed, and then keep our DNA alive. There's all these things that are set into you to make sure that that happens. All the while, where you recognize that definitely are a finite life. We get to do something we hate.
Yeah. I mean, and it's one reincarnation of love. That thing is going to enjoy. You've been doing that for infinite lifetime.
I think you dropped your
That's
arm.
called your places. It's sort of, it's like underneath your identity. It's basically your code. It's your tendencies, I guess is the way you put it. So like, you know, if you have the tendency to lose your temper, then that's something that you've been dealing with for infinite lifetimes, and it never ever goes away until you start waking up. Because the idea is to just go from being this set of conditioned responses, reactions to your environment, to being something that's like lucid living. And you know, if you want to lucid living,
that time.
try lucid living, you know, which is the practice, I would say, of like, first, what are your habituations?
And you
know?
are?
Like the other day, I was sitting on the couch, I took my sock off, and I spun it like a lasso through it across the room. And my wife looked at me, she's like, I'm like, oh my God.
Anyone want some bad
Holy
guts?
shit. That's how I've been taking my socks off for years. And I didn't even know it. I pull them off, throw them and sling. And like that was the thing. I didn't even know I was doing something so. I've been doing that since I was a kid. Like I probably saw some cool kid lasso his socks and throw it. And I'm gonna start fucking lassoing my socks. But like, how many other things are you doing that are just like that? That are just pure habituation, pure reactivity. And this is where you run into some scary shit, man, which is like Jaron Lanier. God, I wish I could get him on. You know who that guy is?
What's his name?
Jaron Lanier.
I feel like I've heard that name.
He's an author. He like developed all this VR technology. He was in Silicon Valley, and it's when it was just starting working on VR. A VR guy, like, he was like
Butcher shop is open for business.
his group helped build. I think it might be the Oculus Rift. I'm sorry, fans of his out there who are upset. I don't know the.
But some VR system.
Yeah, he's written a lot of great books. One of them, 12 Reasons to Get Off social media now. But yeah,
You wrote a book called that?
yep. Jaron Lanier.
Jaron?
Jaron Lanier.
Someone needs to
Freaking
clean up
brilliant
those freak
human, man.
bits.
But you know, it's called like 10 or 12. I can't remember. 12 Reasons to Get Off your social media now, or delete your account, something like that. There's a book of his I like better than that called The Dawn of the New Everything. But, and that's just him sort of like talking about what it was like working in Silicon Valley back then, and his sort of opinions on this stuff.
You white guy with dreadlocks?
Yeah, look! Yeah! What you would, Well, no, I think people do judge his meat body, but
His meat body?
or his physical appearance or whatever.
He's a large fella.
Fucking brilliant.
Listen, man, there's a lot of brilliant people with black hair.
Yeah, it's
just
okay
joking.
it's okay to have. I'm
Just
defending him because I'm like a nerd. I love him.
He's doing, is those bagpipes?
He's playing pipes. Who cares? He's a genius. I don't care what he. I don't
But
care.
there's just quite a few photos of him with pipes.
God damn it! I didn't see the pipe photos. Who cares? I didn't see the pipe photos.
When we say pipes, we should say like the kind you blow on, like flutes and pipes. And
Okay, I didn't see that.
there's a lot of them, bro. He looks real
Okay,
spiritual.
Stop, Jamie.
I
Don't
love,
look at it. Forget
please
it.
put that picture back up because there's very few
God
things
damn
in
it.
life that I
Oh,
love
he likes
more
playing the pipe.
than white guys with dreadlocks with their eyes closed playing the flute. There's very few things in life that make me feel like, man,
Dude, if I had
That's
that
my
picture
guy.
of me online, I would want people to turn off their
That's-
social media too.
yeah, that's my guy. Here's a new flute.
God,
Again, eyes closed.
who cares? He plays the
He
flute.
plays the flute. I bet he's
Brilliant.
amazing at it. Dude, nothing's wrong with what he's doing. I think it's amazing. I wish I could play a flute. Playing another flute. Look at that flute. That's a dope looking flute though. What is that flute? That flute is dope. Listen, flutes sound cool, and I'm not being disingenuous. I'm not being sarcastic. Flutes sound cool. I wish I could. What is that thing? That needs to go away. What is
It's
that
like
silly?
a zither.
He's
That's
in
a
The Hobbit.
zither.
He's in the movie The Hobbit. He's in the movie The Hobbit. He's in the fucking tub, and he's playing that thing in the back because they haven't figured out real music yet. Sir, I'm only joking.
I know you
I
are.
appreciate your contributions. I'm just joking. I'm sure you're brilliant. It's not just one of my favorite people. He said
He's
you're
brilliant.
I'm just joking.
Look, dude, if you want to listen, you play the flute.
Listen, there's a lot of the kind of people that are like super intelligent and whacked out on, you know, technology. I think something like the flute would be an amazing way to keep an organic. I mean, you're literally using your body to make a sound with air and tubes.
He plays.
It's amazing.
He said he plays like 100 instruments or something.
Sure.
He's just some kind of genius. But here's the scary thing he said, which is if like B.F. Skinner's right, and you know, pretty much if you can control a thing's environment, you can control it. This is the reason to be terrified of AI, because you know, the more advanced an AI gets, like, you know, our assumption is that thing's gonna eat us or kill us or whatever. It might just gradually hypnotize and hypnotize us by creating more and more enticing things that grab our attention, hacks our neurology, and begins to like just do things that are completely impossible to not look at. And you know, when you're saying an AI, you know, advised the pandemic, what if that, you know, that, how do you look away from the pandemic? All of our nervous systems are completely fixated on every tremor, every ripple, every little data point that flies across our screens. We are so absorbed in it right now. We are like cats chasing laser pointers, and that is what he said is that these things eventually could get to the point of completely grabbing. And what you were saying earlier is kind of, maybe that's what already happened.
Maybe that is a process.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a process that's not even put in place by anything other than life itself. But life itself has these systems set up so no one thing ever totally dominates. And when it does, they find ways into it. And then it's this constant state of chaos
Yeah.
that produces better and better life forms.
Right.
That's what it is. I mean, if you want to admit or you want to state that we are better than our ancient ancestors, the pre-Homo sapien hominids, I think we're better. I think we're better. They might have been stronger than us, but we've created more. Overall, as a species, I think it's better to be a person than it is to be a pre-person, right? I think as it goes on and on, we're going to think the same way. I think the next stage of existence is going to be so happy it's not a person running around letting their dick think for them and fucking getting drunk all the time and crashing their motorcycle and you know all the dumb shit that people do. All of the dumb shit, from alcohol and drug abuse to fucked up relationships to everything we do, to lying and stealing and being selfish, all that shit. We'd be so happy if that all went away. Oh my God. the pre-humans used to eat each other's babies. They were always fucking stealing and robbing. They couldn't talk. They couldn't express love. Who the fuck would want to be that?
Right.
And then the humans were so full of shit. They were all addicted to their phones. They didn't even see it coming. Fuck snuck in their life. They welcomed it with new versions every year, paying for their own demise.
Yeah.
Happily. And they were all angry, bitter, and mean, jealous, and fucking thoughtless, and polluting. And then the next stage came along, and they eliminated all that, and we all live in harmony.
Now we're all gravel.
No, now we're all
Isn't it great to be a gravel
we're all
pebble?
space.
Yeah, or just
We're all part of the next.
Now I
yeah,
got something
and we
fun to
already
bring
are.
to the
I mean,
party.
I think probably we already are that. But I mean, to me, I think that whatever's happening,
Nothing says I love
you
you
just
quite
have
like
to
a
make it a good
shotgun.
thing. Like whether or not it is a good thing or not, that's if there is something great about humans,
Spray
is that we're
spray.
capable of alchemizing phenomena in a way that it doesn't completely drive us nuts or paralyze. That's anything that's happening to you can be converted into something either that's going to make you scared, self-destructive, rationalize your anger, rationalize your shitty decisions, or it can be used as a thing that completely, quote, converts you, completely shifts your method or way of living. And that's what's beautiful about a human, is that at any given moment you can do that. Like at any given moment, you can shed your operating system, theoretically. You could drop all of the hang-ups, all the weird shit. Are you jerking off 3 times a day? You could maybe take it down to 2 times a day. Are you drinking every single night? You can stop that. And to me, that's like, yeah, the future beings, whatever they are, I hope one of the qualities or one of the things they look back at is like, holy shit,
Be a
those
bunch
poor
of red
things
flying in a
had
second.
no idea how powerful they were. They were sleepwalking, and they could have, at any moment, connected to the great truth, the divine, the glory of all things, and could have theoretically been one of them, just one of them, could have converted an entire planet into an up-leveled, up-resonant, up-consciousness utopia.
This is
But
exactly
these
what
all
I
were
needed.
sleepwalking. And then finally, somebody woke up, for real. And I don't know, maybe it's I don't know what
Find
that
your
looks
master.
like.
Well, maybe
Kill him.
what looks like is what this is happening. What is happening right now? To stop war. It's a terrible thing, but it is in a sense a reset button. It's a real reset button. To know that this shitty job that you hate going to can go away at any moment, because all jobs can go away at any moment, is a real wake-up call. Because even a good job can go away. Right? If you're in San Francisco, you have the best job in the world. Guess what? You can't go there. You might have the best job. You're so fucking comfortable to work with.
Kill more
You can't
freak
go.
bags
You can't go.
first.
So that can be taken away from you too. So if you're living a bullshit life, like recognize that all of this for everybody could go away.
Right,
If Yellowstone blows, half the people die.
right.
Like, easily,
Yeah.
maybe
Kill
more,
more freak
maybe more.
bags first.
And that motherfucker could easily go.
Sure.
We need these little catastrophes sometimes just to let us understand that the window of time that we've been existing in that's been relatively free of disaster is unique. And that's not normal. Normal is madness. Normal is we're in the middle of a fucking shooting gallery spinning 1,000 miles an hour around a fireball. That's normal. And every now and then shit flies into our atmosphere and wrecks it.
This is why I love Hollywood theory. You ever get into that? You ever get into that?
Is that for people to get kicked out of the Flat Earth Society?
Yeah, flat Earth people look down. But Hollow Earth